All right, so what's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Creating Capital podcast. So today we have a really hot episode with Jason French, the founder of French Capital Management and French Capital Podcast. So today we're going to be talking about his perspective on NFTs and Bitcoin and this whole crypto thing. And he's also going to share his story about how he got into the investment firm and also his journey with e-commerce. So Jason, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, my man. How's everything over there in Texas?
I'm doing great. I actually just had dinner. So
Good.
yeah. So let's get started. So what's your success been with e-commerce, especially after the pandemic? What have you seen?
So e-commerce. I run multiple businesses. So one of them is an e-commerce store, and it's agriculture. And it's basically for residential and small commercial properties. It's landscaping plants. And it's kind of a unique niche because the industry, it's in constant demand. People are constantly, like the customers that we have, they constantly are working with their yard all the time. They're constantly changing things out. So it's not like a product that you sell that's got a lifetime warranty on it, and they only contact you when they need a replacement. This is once every couple of years they're going to want to do something different with their lawn. And that's where they come and contact us. We're very unique because we do a mail delivery service of the plants. Very risky. It's very dangerous to ship plants in the mail because there's a high chance that they will die while in process. But we came up with some creative ways of being able to keep the plants alive. And we do things in a timely enough manner that we can ship the plants out in order to get them to happy customers. And then the customers can get plants that otherwise would not be available. And the other thing we have to also do is comply with U.S. Department of Agriculture rules. So there is special concerns about shipping across state lines. We have to pass inspections, and we always do.
Okay, I can't imagine how much of a roller coaster that must be to go through. So what's the business called?
Yeah, that's Carlos Plant Farm.
Carlos Plant Farm. Awesome. So what have you seen after the pandemic? Have your sales increased or slowed down, or specifically what have your struggles been with the pandemic? Because I know it has a really big effect on supply chains worldwide.
Yeah, last year, like when there was the lockdown, like our big competitors are like Lowe's and Home Depot, Walmart, Ace Hardware, just to name a few. Those are big competitors. So they operate a brick and mortar retail center. When the lockdown happened, of course, people couldn't go there, but they still wanted to do things with their yard. So that created a demand for online stores, like online agricultural e-commerce stores like what I own. And so that last year there was a little bit more demand than there normally would have been. But still people were cautious. They might not have spent as much as they wanted to on landscaping because they maybe we're trying to save up money during that time because there was all the uncertainty about what the pandemic was going to do. Mm-hmm. And I mean, most Americans, like 2/3 of Americans don't have $600 in their bank accounts to get them through some kind of emergency. So there's a lot of caution there. This year we did about the same as we did last year.
Okay, nice. So I know before this you told me a little bit about your story starting French Capital Management. So how's that going now? Because I know that's pretty much your main focus with helping manage other people's portfolios. But
yeah, French Capital Management. So what we do is we help protect your assets, we help you grow your money, and make better financial decisions. it really the target market that I wanted to go for, because I worked at Merrill Lynch before. That's where I was trained, and I started working there right out of college. So right after I got out of college, I was looking around for a job. It was back in 2013. The job market wasn't that great. There wasn't a lot, so I needed to take the first thing that was available to me. Because I wanted to actually start using my degree and actually have a white collar job, which is what I was trained for. Previously, before that, while I was in college, I worked with somebody that was doing HVAC systems to make extra money. He offered me a job afterwards, and looking back now and seeing how his business is, that would have been very lucrative because he was looking to offload that to somebody. But I'm happy with the route I went. So I worked at Merrill Lynch, and I started learning about the industry. And as I started learning more, I realized that I wanted to do more thing. I wanted to have the flexibility to have a boutique investment firm for my clients instead of just having a limited number of mutual funds to put them in. I know that when cryptocurrency started becoming a popular thing about 3 years ago, that wasn't even on Merrill Lynch's radar. Today it is, but that's one of those things that, hey, if I have someone that comes to me and says, Jason, I want to invest $1 million worth of cryptocurrency, why am I going to say, oh, you can't do it with me? Why am I going to turn down $1 million?
Yeah.
And at the time, that's what Merrill Lynch would have did. Merrill Lynch would have instructed me to say, hey, don't buy $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Buy $1 million worth of mutual funds. Not necessarily bad, but would someone have been upset at me if I told them 3 years ago, no, you don't want to invest $1 million into Bitcoin? No, they'd be very upset with me because the Bitcoin would have far outperformed their mutual funds.
Yeah, that's a really interesting story. Tomorrow on the podcast, we actually have the guys over at Orforge coming in to do a show. They've been working with crypto and specifically NFTs to actually make NFTs that you have some real-world utility, real-world value, and they offer like abilities and things like that in games. So it's really interesting where the market's going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about, I just had this conversation with somebody today, and they were talking about, I can't remember who the podcast was or who the speaker was, but it was somebody that's on Fox Business a lot, CNBC. They're an economist, and they were basically, they were basically not. They were not shilling for Bitcoin, clearly. So take their argument about Bitcoin. Oh, there's no intrinsic value underneath of it. Well, you can say the same thing about the American dollar. Right. Also, you can say, oh, well, the dollar is backed by the good faith and credit of the United States government. Well, what's that mean? Does anyone actually know? I mean, no one knows what that means any more than what it means to actually mine Bitcoins or how Bitcoin is mined. And then, there's also the NFTs. Who'd have thought that your, custom suit that you made for your Call of Duty character when Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out would be something that's of value today. Pretty soon, more NFTs are going to start to have value when it comes to things like augmented reality. And I'm talking about where you can hold up your phone. You can hold up your phone to somebody that might have an augmented suit or shoes or something like that. Augmented clothing, I'm talking about, and it's just a different way. It's a different way of looking at the world. So, is there value behind NFTs? Well, that depends. I mean, is there value to the Mona Lisa? Some would say yes. Other people would say, that know nothing about art, they'd say, oh, it's just a painting. What's so valuable about that? But I mean, I will say this: as long as we still measure NFT and Bitcoin in terms of dollars, that's still the measuring stick. In my opinion, the dollar is still the best house in a bad neighborhood. And that's not to say that's not to say if Bitcoin's a bad idea, because if the goal is to generate more dollars and buy at 100 and then sell at 1,000, then yeah, do that with Bitcoin. By all means, people are doing it. Same thing with NFTs. Are they the future? Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere. They've been here for a long time now. We're just starting to see the value of them. So there's a lot of exciting things that are going to be in the financial markets. And it's going to be more than just stocks, bonds, and mutual funds.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So
Yeah.
does your firm have any interest in Bitcoin or crypto?
What I'm doing is I'm looking into I'm looking for a reputable third party advisor that's solely involved in NFTs and different cryptocurrencies. I'm trying to find that person now before I start making recommendations, because I've had to completely re-educate myself on how NFTs work and also how Bitcoin works. I don't want that. I'd much rather be working with a pragmatist than an idealist when it comes to that stuff. Because one of the big selling points about Bitcoin is it can't be a duplicate, or you can't have counterfeit.
Yeah.
You can't have a counterfeit Bitcoin. Well, I know that there's somebody out there that's trying to figure out how to counterfeit Bitcoin right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. It's going to happen one day. Because think of all the people that you've met in your entire life, or that have ever said like, "Oh, well, this isn't going to happen. That's not going to happen." Like, you don't really know. You don't really, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. You might not know about it. There could be counterfeit Bitcoiners out there right now we don't even know about. But the point is, do you know who Robert Kiyosaki is?
Yeah.
So I've never met the guy in person or anything like that, but I've read all of his books and I like a lot. He's just somebody that resonates well with me. Mm-hmm. And he's a big fan of Bitcoin. He's also a big time real estate guy. I like real estate. I'm not going, and he loves real estate because that's what he invests in solely. Now he's gotten into Bitcoin. He doesn't believe in stocks and bonds and mutual funds. I believe in those. Do I think he's wrong about that? Well, yeah, obviously, because I'm putting my money in something else. But also, when it comes to real estate, I know that he knows what he's talking about. And he's somebody that has a track record of making good decisions. So I listen to what he says about Bitcoin, and I say, hey, if that's something that you believe in, then hey, I'm a believer in it too. Also, I've got no reason to doubt you. Same thing with Elon Musk. That's a guy right there that's got forward vision. He sees value in it. He sees value in cryptocurrency, obviously. And this is, Elon's a guy that everyone said, hey, look, if you can't start a space company in the United States and be profitable. And he's doing it. He's doing it because, he's one of the guys that when someone says you can't do something, he looks at the reasons why, and they're legitimate reasons why, but he's able to come up with a way of getting around those barriers because he's a genius. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So talking a little bit about Bitcoin. So the actual mining process for Bitcoin, when you mine Bitcoin, you receive a reward, for confirming a transaction, basically. Now, Bitcoin has this event called a halving event, and it's pretty much where the reward that miners get for, confirming a transaction drops to half. There's been 3 of these halving events so far. First one was November 2012. Second one was in 2016, July, I think. Now, the third one is coming up now in 2024. and pretty much Bitcoin has a cap of how much Bitcoin was mined. So the first halving event happened after 10.5 million Bitcoin was mined. So with the next halving event in 2024, I think we're going to see a really drastic increase in Bitcoin's prices. There's a lot of skeptics out there, and I'm not saying I'm for Bitcoin or against Bitcoin. I'm just saying it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes, and a lot of people are going to be left behind.
So it's going to be like a stock split?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Basically, so you're going to take the total number of Bitcoins that are out there and divide that by 2. And that's going to cause the value of each Bitcoin that someone holds to go up, right?
Yeah.
Now, see, that's the thing that I wonder about, because is there somebody that actually sets that? Is that Satoshi, or is this just merely plugged into the algorithm?
Bitcoin stands on its own. It's fully decentralized, so there's no one person, no central authority for it, and that's really the great autonomy of Bitcoin. It's the market that decides truly.
Yeah. And I guess when I look at that, I just wonder, like, how does the halving event, did somebody or something determine the date in 2024 when it's going to happen?
Yeah, it's set. I should have explained that better, but it's set based on the amount of Bitcoin total mined. So the first one in 2012, it happened after 10.5 million Bitcoin were mined. That's when it happened. So we're expecting the next one to happen in 2024.
Okay. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure once that happens, then there's going to be a. If that coincides with some kind of a global reset, which we might be in right now, we could have been in for the last decade already. We don't know. Then that's going to be really good for the Bitcoin holders, because then at that point, like, if you have something that can be measured in value electronically, then if is the dollar still going to be around in 2024? I would think so. I would definitely think so. But what's that going to do to Bitcoin, or anything that Bitcoin does that strengthens its presence in the currency exchange, in the world currency exchange? Because whether or not the other world players want it, it is, because, like, El Salvador just recognized it, more countries will follow. So the United States has to compete with that. Other countries' currencies have to compete with that, and they've got to recognize that's what people are moving towards.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be an interesting event right there then.